So you've got a decision and you're struggling to figure out which way you should go. What should you do in this situation, and how should you even approach answering that kind of question? Something that can happen when we find ourselves in a situation that we haven't experienced before or that we really don't know what to do. We might have a tendency to see people that we either respect or admire in certain aspects and then try to take all of their perspectives to be able to bolster our own kind of perspective in respect to the decision that we have to make. But what I've found can happen is if we are pedestalizing these people and we just take their opinions without assessing them very much within our own selves, then that can lead to potential problems. That can lead us to maybe accepting things that we don't quite agree with, but because we broadly agree with the person, we just accept it as true. And because of this, we can naturally run into some problems. So how do we avoid that? How do we mitigate against the potential damage that taking on too much of someone else's worldview might cause to us? Well, here it is. Here's the secret. Critical thinking. I know, a very common sense thing to do, it seems, but doesn't seem to be all too common a lot of the time, especially if a lot of the opinions that we hold currently are simply taken or scalped from the surface of other people that we have either seen or interacted with, and we've tried to use them as our own. I believe that it is very important to go out into the world, to take a lot of different ideas from a lot of people, to incorporate them into your understanding of the world and how it functions. But the important component, the important trait that we need to maintain during this process of idea acquisition is that assessment. To be able to assess whether we feel something or whether we think something is of merit or whether we think something is valid in our own heads as compared to simply taking something based off an expert's word or, as I said before, someone we respect or we admire. Now, there are certain cases where we are not ourselves an expert in a field, and so it might make more sense to take the perspective of someone whose career that has been for the last 20 years or has done the things that we are thinking about in the context of this latest idea. But it is extraordinarily important to maintain a certain sense of self-reliance, of being able to keep that choice, that decision of whether we accept something in-house. Because if we outsource that, if we give that responsibility away to someone else or some other group, then we are in turn, in a way, giving away our freedom, giving away our responsibility and our capacity to be able to make our own decisions. And then we get into these moments where we are stuck. We might be thinking between two big people or two big groups that we agree with, and we can't decide who we are going to go with, which path are we going to take. And in that kind of way, the only way to get out of this rut is to try to take as much as we can from both of them and assess it ourselves. We can't get past this process. No one else is going to be able to make the decision for us. We have to cultivate the skill, and it is a skill to be able to decide on our own based on our own merits. And the reason we have to do that is because no one is 100% right. Everybody has at least a few faulty ideas or lacks some reasoning behind a perspective that they have. But if we simply take everything that an individual says as true and valid because we respect or admire them, then we can put ourselves into a very tricky situation where we might have to justify for them their own perspective, even if it doesn't make sense to us. So the moral of the story here is, don't just take someone or some group's dogma or doctrines at face value. Don't try to copy and paste their routines or methodologies for approaching decisions in their entirety. Make your own dogma, make your own doctrines, and try to set up your own routines so that they make sense to you. This is a call to have that freedom, to take that responsibility for the choices you have in your life and make the most of it. This is not someone else's decision to make. This is your life, and you have to make decisions that make sense to you. Embrace the freedom of being able to make your own decisions and not rely on other people's perspectives, worldviews, or opinions to be the basis of your actions. A bit of a short one, but I just had to get that out there. I hope you're doing well, and as always, thanks for watching, thanks for being here, and do more than you think you can.